It's the camera I pack every time I go on a trip, even when I don't necessarily need it. A camera that has been with me overseas now 4 times, and it is the camera that has made me a better photographer. Today, we're talking about the Leica M6. It is my workhorse. Will this camera make you a better photographer or make your pictures better? And the answer is yes, but not for the reasons you think. This camera is something that you are going to get excited about picking up. And when you are excited about picking up a camera, you take more photos, which means you're getting in more reps. The more photos you take, the more you learn along the way. And by proxy, whatever camera you are using in order to do that makes you a better photographer, and it makes your photos better. The same applies across all creative fields. You don't become a better painter because you have better paintbrushes. You don't become a better pianist because you have a more expensive piano. You become better at your craft by putting in the reps. So yes, it will make you better if and only if you use it, and you use it repetitively. This camera is phenomenal in so many ways. The durability, the robustness of it, the quality of the camera is so phenomenal that it's hard to not want to pick this camera up when you walk past it. When I got this camera, I found myself wanting to give myself projects and wanting to go out and do street photography, which is not something that I do very often, but it was something that I was so excited about. This camera was something I was so excited about that I couldn't help but want to find things to go take pictures of. And that's the thing to note here. In a way, yes, the Leica M6 is gonna make you wanna pick it up, which is gonna allow you to get more reps in. And by proxy, it's going to make you a better photographer, which in turn will improve your pictures. But this is true of whatever camera you pick up. That's really the most important thing about any camera that you're going to purchase. If you buy something and it sits on the shelf and you're not using it and it's not inspiring you, then you should find something that does inspire you so that you can go take pictures and create beautiful things. I recognize that it is a privilege to have this camera in my arsenal, and it's something that 12-year-old Tilly would have never believed in a million years was possible. It's not something I ever thought I would own. It's not something I purchased for myself. My husband purchased it for me. And had he not, I probably wouldn't be the photographer I am today. My hope is by sharing this video, you will get to experience a little bit of the beauty this camera is capable of creating. There are a few situations where I won't attempt to take a photo even if I know there's not enough light, because I'm hoping that in the midst of some of the reflections on things, I'm gonna get something cool. And part of the reason I do that is because this camera inspires me to take photos. I want to push myself. I want to step outside of my comfort zone and create something that even I don't know I'm capable of creating. And this camera makes me feel not only like I'm capable of doing that, but it gives me results that reinforce that belief. There are a handful of things about this camera that I want to share because, quite frankly, I believe they are what made me a better photographer. It's a rangefinder camera, which means there's a patch in the middle of the viewfinder. When you look through the camera, in that patch in the center of the viewfinder, there's essentially a double image, and you have to line the edges of the double image up so that they become one. When they become one, your image is in focus. When I first started using this camera, it was very difficult for me to get used to the focus. Having that part of the camera be such a challenge pushed me way outside of my comfort zone, and it made me a better photographer. I truly believe that. Being able to anticipate where the focus needs to be and having that muscle memory and being able to dial that in quickly is something the Leica forced me to learn how to do. Next, I want to talk about the build quality of this camera. This thing is a tank. It was hand built in Germany. The whole camera is a metal housing. The top and bottom have brass in it, and it's coated in a leather that goes all the way around the back of the camera. It is truly a beautifully built camera, and it's a big reason why photographers specifically seek out the M6. I think it's fair to say that it is one of the highest quality built cameras, and I'm sure there are people who will disagree with me, but there is a reason why people search for this camera. It's not just because of the pictures you get with this camera. But while we are on that, let's talk about image quality. I came from using a Nikon F3. That camera is a phenomenal camera, but the images that I got with that camera do not compare to what I've been able to get with the Leica M6. I've had the same 50mm Voigtlander lens on this camera since I got it. I think I've maybe taken the lens off once. And having a single lens on this camera has allowed me to get some really, really stunning photos, because a lot of times I had to move closer to my subject, which is something that I felt uncomfortable doing at first, but it pushed me outside of my comfort zone, and I believe that it gave me the confidence to do that more in the future, and because of that, again, it made me a better photographer. The images that I was getting at the beginning of using this camera feel more timid. They feel more reserved. Because I have a 50mm lens on this camera, it pushed me to get closer. It pushed me outside of my comfort zone. And in doing so, it allowed me to create better images. The Voigtlander 50mm has been phenomenal. It has allowed me to get incredibly crisp images, and it has been very, very reliable. I cannot speak highly enough of that lens. The lens you have on your camera is a big factor in how your images turn out. I think a bigger factor is the confidence you have, the confidence the camera gives you to push yourself outside of your comfort zone and get those images that you may have been scared or afraid of getting in the past. Another feature that I do really love about this camera is that it has a built-in light meter, which means when you half press the shutter, there are two red arrows that will appear in the viewfinder, and you turn the aperture ring in the direction the arrow is pointing until you have two red arrows that light up with the same intensity. When those two red arrows pop up with the same intensity, that means that you are properly exposed and you are ready to take your picture. That will only work if the battery is good. Once the battery in the camera dies, the light meter no longer works. But you are still able to take a photo. The shutter is not dependent on whether or not there is battery life, which is really awesome because I cannot tell you the number of times my battery has died and I have not had another one. That is another really awesome feature I like about the Leica. I'm still able to take a photo even though the battery might be dead in the camera, because I can use the light meter on my phone to get the proper exposure and still take the image that I'm trying to get. A few more things, and this is a decently compact camera. You can fit this in a purse, you can fit it in almost any backpack. You can't exactly slide it into your pocket, but it's not huge. I love this camera. I love the size. I love the weight. This thing feels like it could take pictures on its own. It's amazing. I love this camera so much. I really cannot express how much I love this camera. And the fact that you can take the lens off and change it is fantastic. With most 35mm cameras, you can take the lens off. They're not fixed. But I will say I have cameras that have fixed lenses, and it is a preference of mine to be able to take the camera lens off, even if it's not something that I really do. I just want to have the option in the event that I need it. Being able to take that off and not have to sacrifice the camera that I want to use because I can't switch the lens is pretty important. This camera has not only been overseas with me and taken pictures on all of the trips that I've gone on, but it is also a literal workhorse in the sense that it goes with me when I take pictures of the bike races that I shoot. It is the camera I used for the very first bike race that I ever shot, and I put 7 rolls of film through it. This camera is so unbelievably capable, and at no point did I have any trepidation about whether or not it could keep up. This camera is phenomenal, and if you're thinking about getting one and it is in the realm of possibility for you, I cannot speak highly enough of the Leica M6. And the last thing I want to say is that the Leica M6 has been used by astronauts in space, that's cool. There is a reason the Leica M6 is the golden standard. It is a beautifully built camera. It is robust, and the images that you get from it inspire you to take more photos. I'm not certain how many photos I've taken through this camera, but I can say confidently that it is over 100 rolls. And now here are some of the photos I've captured over the last 5 years of owning this camera. I hope you enjoy them. That's it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, please don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll make sure I put all of the gear I use down in the description so you have access to it. And as always, thank you so much for watching. I'm Tilly Scholl, and I'll catch you on the next one.